direction.
Let's try something else. I don't want to give up on this one. This is too important to give up too quickly. So forget the
Just so you know,
semantic.
7 people had a thumbs up, so 7 people glimpsed something from your guided meditation. So feel free to
Thank
go ahead.
you. You're
Yeah.
being kind. Um, Forget the crystal of eternity and semantic links that do not require extension. Let's try a different thing. Um, Entertain this with me. If you never move, if not a single part of your body moves and you're just staring in front of you, there is a sense in which space disappears, isn't there? If you don't move, all there is pixels of different colors. So you could say, well, there needs to be some extension for the pixels to be able to coexist while being different. Otherwise, they would all collapse in the same thing. But there's still another sense in which space disappears, because if you're not moving, if you're not going, if you're not covering distance, then there is something very important about what we call space that ceases to exist. Yeah, are you with me there?
And you're saying nothing in the visual field's changing, or should I
Nothing's
drop?
changing in the visual field.
Mhm.
So that's the first step. Something important about space ceases to exist without moving. If you're not covering distance, something important ceases to exist. Now let's make your visual field completely white. Somebody turned on a helicopter light or an airplane landing light 10 meters from your eyes. You cannot close it. Just now the rest of space is gone, isn't there? You can't move. There is no inner differentiation within your visual field. There is a quail, but there's no extension. There's nothing in terms of which we could speak of extension. There's no differentiation at all, and there is no movement. Yeah?
Yeah, you can't, there's not one thing to compare to another.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's still time. You can still get bored of staring at white. That's Schopenhauer's argument, right? Okay, so now we got rid of space, but we still have to deal with time. Now think the following. There has never been a single moment in your entire life in which the past was anything other than a memory experienced now. There has never been. The past was always a memory experienced now. You could never leave the present and reach the past. All you have ever had is a memory you experience now. Everything you call the past is that and has always been that. It has never, ever been other than that. If you think it has, you're mistaking present for past. There has also never been a moment in your life in which your future was other than an expectation. Because when it's not that, it's the present. The future is always an expectation experienced in the present. It has never been other than that, right? Most people can follow until this point with some disclaimers and reservations, like he's now going to make a jump that they cannot follow, but you can follow until here. Now, let's investigate this present. How long is this present? Is today the present and yesterday the past and tomorrow the future? But what about last hour and next hour? Well, last hour was also the past, and the next hour is also the future. What about the last minute and the next minute? Now, clearly, last minute was the past, and the next minute is the future, and the present is the current minute. And therefore, all the past is in the present, is in that minute. And all the future is in the present, is in that minute, because the past are memories experienced in that minute, and the future are expectations experienced in that minute. There is only that minute. But is there really that minute? Because last second, what about last second? And the next second? clearly the last second is in the past. You don't have the last second. Give me a piece of the last second, please. Show it to me. Point. Where is it? Where is the last second? And the next second. Give it to me. Hand it over to me. Let's measure the next second. You can't. So everything that exists and has ever existed and could ever exist is in the current second. But wait a minute. You see where I'm going with this. What about the last 1/3 of a second and the next 1/3 of a second? And they too are not in the present. And you can play this game until the present is infinitely small. It's a literal limit. And some people would say, oh no, Bernardo, I know physics. What about the Planck scale? Well, the Planck scale is the limit of causality, not the limit of time. And in physics, we associate time with causality, but that's operational. When it comes to the experience of time, there is no such limitation. Time is an internal quale or a set of qualia. And Planck's limit doesn't apply. You can infinitely keep on cutting pieces away from the present moment and making it smaller and smaller and smaller. And it doesn't matter how capable of imagining it as small you are. It is infinitely smaller than that. Whatever you say, whatever you think, however you imagine it, it is forever smaller than that. And the conclusion is, of course, that everything exists in a vanishingly small, non-existent thing. Everything exists in nothing. And that is the crucial thing to understand structure without extension. Because what this is telling you is that, yes, everything does exist. It's structure, but it exists in nothingness without extension. The entire phantasmagoria you call your life, including past regrets and the anxieties about the future, especially how you're going to die and how much you're going to suffer, all of that phantasmagoria is a cognitive structure that occupies no time and no space. And that's why in the more respectable, well, the real religious traditions are all respectable. But in many ancient philosophical and religious traditions from a time when there was no split between religion and philosophy, at a time when introspection was just as good as an avenue to knowledge as analytic reasoning, people would say, nothing ever happens. Nothing exists, which is, of course, simultaneously completely true and completely untrue. But it's metis. It's a cognitive trick. It's benign deception to bring you to the edge of the abyss and then tell you, now open your eyes. And then it doesn't matter if you were deceived all the way there. What you now see is what you now see. Everything exists in nothing. This is true. And you can verify it without having a degree in transcendental meditation or being enlightened. It is obvious. It is staring everybody in the face all the time. You can realize it in the middle of a noisy restaurant, having drunk 3 glasses of good wine and talking bullshit with your friends. It is not romantic. It's not fragile. It is not subtle. It doesn't require an extraordinary guru. None of that. It is like kicking the tires. It's just there, and you cannot break it, and you cannot not see it once you see it once. You cannot unsee it. It marks you for the rest of your life. You will never have the same inner life you had before you realize the obvious for the first time. And what makes it difficult for most of us is culture culture brings us away from biology, from the biological reality, which is another way of saying the dissociative mental reality of our being. We are rooted in what is true. We are part of what is true. Truth isn't fragile. It's not a crystal. It's not going to break. It's there all the time. It is in you. It is you. And these simple exercises, like you just follow through the consequences of what you think is true. Follow those consequences through consistently, and the whole thing implodes at the end. And you realize that all of your assumptions just cannot be right. What seems to be the case is not. This is an amazing cognitive trick. The universe, the substantiality of what exists, history, and the timeline, and causality, and it's an amazing cognitive trick. It is the very act of creation, and it didn't happen 13.8 billion years ago, whatever the new number is. I think it's more like 13.83 now. It didn't happen then. It's happening now. It's the only moment when it can happen. It's now. It's happening right now. And this is the Big Bang. It's the cognitive explosion that creates the richness and substantiality of reality out of nothing. Nothing's happening. Nothing ever happened. Nothing will have ever happened. Nothing exists. And that's why when people say, oh, the greatest paradox in science is why there is something instead of nothing. Well, the answer to that is that there is no difference between the two. Something and nothing are not different. They are the very same thing. A thing that is not a thing. This is an amazing cognitive trick. Existence, life, the universe, 42, everything. It's an incredible cognitive trick. And it's not being done to you, it's being done by you right now. Right now, not before, not in the future. It's happening right now. You are all already dead for countless eons. None of you has been born yet. And that this is not a spiritual insight. Well, maybe it is. It's just, I don't use the word spiritual for this kind of sometimes unpleasant and sort of in your face, hard-nosed conclusion. It's not romantic. It's not reassuring, at least not to me. If anything, when I realized it, I was ashamed. I was very embarrassed that I ever thought differently. Like, how could I deceive myself so much for so long before staring what is in front of my eyes at all times? Did it help now, Amir? This no talk of crystal of eternity and semantic associations.
This was an excerpt from one of the weekly Q&As with Bernardo Kastrup, and you can find the whole video at withrealityinmind.com. You also get access to live Q&As with Bernardo every week, which often include special guests like Michael Levin, Rupert Spira, Christoph Koch, many other amazing scientists, philosophers, mystics, meditators, academics. And it's also a chance as a closed group to hear Bernardo's more private intuitions and for us to share personal perspectives on the ramifications and implications of considering idealist philosophy in our personal lives. So again, you can find us at withrealityinmind.com and get access to live weekly meetings and almost a year of a recorded archive of previous meetings.